Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight. I am Scott McMeans with Action Coach, and I'm pleased to be with Jim Gilbride from Encore 360. We're going to get a chance to listen to Jim's story. He's going to tell us all the great things about Encore 360, and we're going to learn about some of the highs, some of the lows of business ownership and running your own ship. So, before we get into all those details, Jim, I want the audience to get to know you. So I turn the microphone and the camera over to you. Take a few minutes, introduce yourself, and tell us your story.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, Jim Gilbride, 20 years experience working for a great company in the business-to-business media space. And within the last about a year ago or so, have decided that there was a big opportunity in content marketing, especially in the horticulture, turf and ornamental, B2B markets. And so that's where we kind of decided to take our leap and launch a business that's a bit different from B2B media. But go into the content marketing world where we're producing content for clients directly.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, not too many people think about horticulture in the way that you guys do it. I mean, we've had previous conversations, so I want the audience to get an understanding of what it is exactly that you do in a space that, quite frankly, I don't know people really know it exists beyond the Home Depot plant section or the flower section of Home Depot. There's a whole business of distribution and growers and then retail outlets. So walk us through a little bit of the storyline or a little bit of how you work in that space, because it is very unique compared to what traditional people think or of the marketplace.
Absolutely. So if you look at that big wall of plants at Home Depot or Lowe's or the garden center, in addition to, locally here, we have one of the largest garden centers in the country, if not the largest garden center, Petiti Garden Center.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into getting things to market. And so we work with a lot of suppliers in the marketplace. You have to build houses, lights, maintain acres and acres of indoor plants, and bring them to market, make sure that they're disease and pest free and distribution, all those types of things, right? And so you have benches and irrigation. There's a lot that goes into that. And so we are back and, we're a business to business content marketing firm. So for instance, if you're a greenhouse manufacturing company, and there's a lot of those, and how do you differentiate yourself? How do you bring value to the marketplace? And so what we do is we'll go in and, really deep down, dive into their business, understand what their strategy is, develop a content marketing strategy, develop an editorial calendar, and then we create everything from a blog post on how do you prepare your greenhouse for a hurricane, to video on, when you should expand, how you should expand, things like that to help our client grow their LinkedIn following, help their sales reps have more content to share on LinkedIn. If they have the e-newsletter, we run that, and then we pipe, all of our content and market the content that way.
It's pretty crazy.
It really, as opposed to outbound, buy this, it's, hey, here's a client that we worked with, here's how it worked. It's more taking the editorial media approach, and engaging customers that might not be ready to buy now, but they might be ready to buy in a year, or they might be ready to buy in 6 months. And so to engage people without selling them something and providing value to their business.
And you're engaging through education, you're engaging through content. So
yes,
there's a lot more to making those connections with the audience, whether it's an industry, a segment, or an end user. You're connecting the dots through education, which is primarily the focus and purpose of content marketing. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, in my B2B media days, we created content and monetized it through advertising. Now we're just creating we're creating content directly for the client, for their subset in the marketplace, and monetizing it through selling a greenhouse, selling a rack, selling a irrigation system, things like that.
And something we talk a lot about at Action Coach is an educated client is the best kind of client, because they know what to expect. They understand what they're getting themselves into because they have been educated. And with today's interesting approach to marketing, it used to be you can make a phone call, make a cold call, and within 2 or 3 times of talking to somebody, you can make a sale.
Mhm.
Now it's 17 to 25 different touches you have to have with a client before they actually engage to make a purchase. So education is a very important part of the whole business cycle, especially on the front end, to make sure that people know who you are as an organization. They are comfortable with what you provide, right? So talk to me a little bit about how you come up with the content. What makes Encore 360 so unique in such a very specific marketplace?
Well, yeah, again, if you look at the marketplace that we started in, and again, we serve kind of we overall arching our kind of approach is plants and water. And so those are the kind of the industries that we're involved in. And so started with plants because, I was the group publisher for a horticulture publication for over 15 years. And so um, our team is really well versed in horticulture. So if you're a general agency and you deal with manufacturing and consumer and all these things, you're not going to be able to kind of speak the language of folks in the vertical niches that we serve. And so our kind of differentiator is that we understand the marketplace, we understand the reader, we understand the business, and we can speak their language, um, and help develop the content, based off our industry experience.
That's pretty unique because the ability to talk directly to your audience is pretty important, especially when you're trying to do educational content. So you're mirroring what the audience wants to learn by giving them the information they can learn.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, there's this whole debate. I just got back from Inbound and in Boston, and there's this whole, you know, the days of, writing specifically for SEO kind of generic content almost. You're writing for an algorithm as opposed to writing for your audience so that you can
Yeah.
drive organic traffic. Um, it's much more important to listen to your audience. I mean, sure, there's SEO and there's a place for those things, but a lot of those are kind of basic drivers to drive a new audience. What you're trying to do, you really want to listen to what the client's audience is, what their potential audience is, and really hone in on that because you're going to strike a chord 10 times more with what their needs are than trying to write for an algorithm.
Great point. I hope everybody can either stop, rewind that segment of the video and really pay attention to what you just said, because writing for an algorithm doesn't get you the end result. Writing for the audience and what the audience is looking to learn is more important. So I appreciate
Absolutely.
you making that comment because that's something that as new business owners or any business owner really trying to get their message out, you always have to make sure you're one, going after the right target audience. Two, you have the right message or copy to make sure it makes sense for them. And then the offer or the invitation to act, that has to be pretty profound. And if you've talked to the right audience and given them the right information, asking them to do the next step is pretty simple step. At least it should be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and I think when we talked in previous conversations, Jim, you made a comment that what makes Encore 360 so unique is the fact that you know your audience and you speak that language. And when a general agency tries to step into your space, they could do the work, but they won't do it as well as you do. And they won't do it in a timely fashion that you do because you know that language so well. Speak to me a little bit about why that's so important to your customer base.
Yeah, I mean, we have a customer that basically was, said, you talk about timeliness. And so, when we come in as B2B, from the B2B media world, we know what are the types of questions. We don't need education on the basics of the industry. We had our first meeting with an onboarding a new client, and they said, wow, that took it a half hour. That would have taken 3 hours because we would have had to stop every 10 minutes to explain to them what a vented roof is, or, what an irrigation bench is, or whatnot. So what are the automations within the greenhouse? We've all stepped in greenhouses. We've visited greenhouses all over North America. We know growers personally. We really understand who the audience is. We have relationships with that audience, and we understand the marketplace. And we go to the industry trade shows. We're not just, a firm that comes in and wants to just get the business and write the things. Any industry that we get involved in, including water, um, we put boots on the ground. We go visit the industry trade shows ourselves. We go learn the industry. We understand, um, and investigate what's going on in that marketplace to better serve our clients' needs.
Yeah, I think one of the comments that makes the most sense to me is you said boots on the ground. I get that. Anybody could do that, right? But the difference is you are starting from a position of knowledge and experience that allows you to accelerate the learning curve to a
Yes.
point where you don't have to spend weeks figuring stuff out. You can just create this customized content because you know the marketplace so well. And what's interesting about this is we're going to get into some of the challenges and lessons learned, but what I want to get people to understand is you came from a 15-year experience as an editor of a magazine in the horticulture
Publisher, not
space.
an editor.
Publisher,
Publisher,
sorry.
big difference.
Publisher, sorry. Publisher. And you know this marketplace pretty well. And you didn't go into auto mechanics. You didn't go into, a carpentry marketplace. You went into something that you knew. And that's not necessarily saying you did anything unique. What I'm suggesting is you did something intelligent by going into what you knew and building a business from that knowledge base. And when you're talking about some of the biggest challenges that you have, a new business trying to do something they're not comfortable with is a big challenge. So walk me through what made your transition so simple, and why was it something you fully dedicated yourself instead of going wide in trying to figure out all these different marketplaces. You went strictly to a niche, and I believe it took you some time to go from the wide to the narrow niche, and that's the pathway I want to let people understand from your experience.
Yeah, so I think that yeah, I mean, one of the biggest lessons we learned is we got into, there's a couple things there. One, the marketplace for sure. One of the reasons we went into the marketplace is because we were engaged in the marketplace in the media side. And the more and more we look at customers, blogs, content, social media, there wasn't a lot of deep value. There's a lot of folks that tried to start it and always stopped. Very few in the marketplace were able to execute a content strategy on a regular basis, simply because they're all spread pretty thin. They got a lot of things to do. It's just not, and so it always kind of falls to the back burner. And so that's where we saw the market opportunity. Um, and then as far as, challenges, and then we said, okay, well, we're going to launch this business and we're going to offer content marketing and Google AdWords and LinkedIn ads and Facebook ads and it's, technical search engine optimization and all this stuff, right? And very quickly realized that we're media folks. We understand how to drive audience through content, and engagement. And so we never had to use Google ads in the media business. Why are we offering that as a service? There's some SEO that needs to be done, but deep technical SEO doesn't matter if you don't have content. You can't optimize anything. And so we quickly backed off all those other services to focus on what our strength is and what we're really best at, which is driving an audience and engagement through content, in niche markets, starting with horticulture, and driving that, marketing that content through social, an e-newsletter, LinkedIn newsletter, video, YouTube, mostly organically, and then being committed to that and delivering that content on a regular basis. You can't do it for 3 months. You can't do it for 6 months. You have to be committed. And the folks that are committed and collaborate with us and are, see the long-term picture have seen the best success, because they have buy-in from their company. They're bought in themselves. They're responsive. They're great to work with. And we just get on a really great rhythm of producing really good content, and the results are outstanding. I mean, their engagement on every platform, including their website, goes up. They get picked up by media for the articles that we're producing. And then it just kind of starts to snowball.
Interesting concept, right? Because starting off, yeah, you could be everything to everybody, and it didn't necessarily drive the sales or the engagement that you're looking for until you realize, all right, we're trying to be too much to too many people. Let's focus on what we do best. We're media folks. I think that's a great way of saying what you do. You're a media guy. And
Mhm.
because of that, you know how to run an appropriate content marketing campaign for an industry that you are niched into so incredibly well and deep. It makes complete sense that you did what you did. I'm curious to learn about where you see the next step for Encore 360. What's on the horizon for you, and what do you look forward to?
Oh, yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, I think when we look at the overall business strategy, I think we just look forward to continued growth, engagement, and uh, continuing to scale, figure out how to scale a business like this. Um, we're
Mm,
definitely, had a great first solid year, but as we get September 25th here and, we're staring at 2026, it looks like, we're going to double the size of the company, which means we're going to double the size of production. We're going to at least double the
mhm.
size of the company. Um, and so we have economies of scale now. Now that we're kind of contracting all that out, we have to figure out from a production perspective how we're going to manage all that. And so we've kind of spent this summer doing that, building out a better operational process, um, so that we can execute and have, delight our clients. Um, and so, in the immediate future, that's what we're looking at.
Where do you see the growth from the growth coming from? Is it going deeper into the horticultural space, or is it taking the experience you have and then going into ancillary or spaces that are adjacent to horticulture?
Yeah, it's both. So
Okay.
again, I see kind of plants and water. So horticulture, turf, ornamental, things like that. Um, we definitely see growth there, but we see, growth industries like the water industry, where there's water scarcity is a real issue. Um, and there's a huge infrastructural, um, you know, process. There's another opportunity. We work with a company already in that industry, and have done a lot of really good work for them. And so that, that's another industry that we're getting to know. We'll be at, we're touring water plants, going to industry trade shows and looking, getting deep into that industry as well.
Outstanding. The the market size, is that something that's attractive to you, or is it simply because it's such a linear connection to what you currently do?
I think there's several things. It's a linear connection to what we do. Um, I think that the industries that we get involved in as well, one of the cultural things that we're instilling in our employees is, it's really important to me that, everybody feels good about what they do every day. And we feel like we're having a positive impact on the world. Um, and having an impact on businesses that we think are, um, providing, a great service to society. And water is a is a is a serious global challenge. And it's something that our team is excited about waking up every day and being a part of, and being part of that solution. Um, and so we look at those, and then we look at market opportunity. We, research companies in the industry. Is there an opportunity where are they way ahead of the content marketing curve, or is there opportunity there where they could use our help? Um, and so there's a few things that we look at, to enter a marketplace.
Okay. So you're looking at markets that need your help because they don't have the institutional structure for content marketing. So that's a prime opportunity for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And I love the idea that, the culture at Encore 360, which I want to get into, is, feel good about what you do every day, have a positive impact on the world and a positive relationship with your clients. That's pretty powerful stuff. And then the comment of waking up every day and feeling good about going to work, I think everybody wants that. So when you are putting together Encore 360, how is it that you create a culture like this? How does this happen? And is this something that you had in mind from the very get-go? Did this morph into what you have today? What's the thought process on building a culture like this?
Um, yeah, no, I think it was something that, we wanted to create from the get-go. Um, and something I learned from probably, my mentors that I worked for in the media industry for so many years. And, always trying to do the right thing, even in difficult
Hmm.
situations. Um, the most important thing is whether it's good for the business or not, is kind of looking deep down and seeing, what's the right thing to do here and trying to make those decisions. And if you continue to do the right thing, at least try to day in and day out, I think that, everything will work out. And you can sleep at night. And so, um, I think it's definitely always been from the get-go. We want to create an environment you know, where we don't have vacation days and we don't have, you don't have to be anywhere. I mean, as long as you get your job done and you feel passionate about it and you're executing, you know, we don't really care what you do. And so
Okay.
wanting to come to work, wanting to be a part of something that's a rapidly growing business, wanting to be part of a startup. We want people that are excited to come to work and feel good about it. And because otherwise, there's a lot's changed in the last 4 years with offices and remote work, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
disconnection, um, and things like that. And so it's really important to us in today's remote environment, how do you create that connection? How do you create the connection to work, and have people have a positive experience where they want to be, part of it for a long time. And
I
so
love
very, very much in the fabric of our being.
and Jim, I appreciate that. A number of clients that I work with have a challenge with understanding the importance of culture from the get-go, and the fact that you created this from the start, from the get-go, you wanted to do the right thing. I think that sounds wonderful, and the description that you lay out for the company as far as working remote and having a little bit of possibility for disconnection, and then you have a connection for within the group, people have an excitement to come to work. Why is it you think other businesses don't start with culture?
Um, I guess it depends. I don't know if I'm not, I don't know the answer to that question.
And that's fine.
I think a lot of, I think this is a different business. We're starting from the beginning. And I
Yeah.
think that, a lot of existing businesses might not even be aware of it. Oh,
Bec-
or, I mean, if you're dealing with a massive business that, you've managed for however many years and things have changed, maybe you're not even aware of, it on a certain extent.
It's a solid point, and there's a specific reason why I wanted to go down this talk track, because I strongly believe that you and the team at Encore 360 did the right thing by establishing the right culture, establishing the right mix of connection, disconnection, as you said, and getting the right people on board, because this is the work you wanted to do, and you wanted people to follow in your footsteps with the passion and the excitement to get up every day and go to work. And when you talk about a business that somebody either purchased or inherited, they don't understand the importance of the culture, whether it's a positive culture that they purchased or a negative culture that they purchased. But your point about established business that are so big they don't understand, there is a culture, and they don't necessarily know the importance of that culture in a positive or negative way. And what I'm trying to get people to realize is one of the biggest challenges that you have seemed to avoid at Encore 360, which is a very strong positive, is the influence that culture has on the positive or negative functionality of your business. Because if you don't have people understanding why they're there every day, and the culture that allows them to be themselves and contribute in a fashion that is not burdened by my PTO, it's not burdened by the hours of a clock, it's burdened, if anything, by their passion to get things done because they understand the mission and they understand what they're trying to do. And the culture is a huge part of that. So I appreciate you walking down that talk track, because I think it's pretty impressive when a company like yours can have such a sound culture, and being able to sleep at night and then being excited to wake up in the morning is a really strong business culture. So I appreciate you doing that for your team.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as we go through this, what are some of the most exciting things that you have encountered at Encore 360 that have given you a lesson, that have taught you something that you've been able to take and move forward? And we've already talked about going wide and coming back to a narrow thing. Are there any other challenges or things that you get excited about because you know we approached it, we saw it, we conquered it, and we moved forward?
Um, yeah, I mean, I'll just say that, kind of immersing myself in the B2B content marketing world as opposed to the B2B me world was a little bit of a shift, especially working
Mm,
directly for clients. So that was kind of a challenge, but I think kind of being really engaged in, things like content marketing world, inbound with HubSpot, CEX here in Cleveland, Content Entrepreneur Expo, things that I haven't participated in before, and kind of being side by side with folks who are doing this on a daily basis has really fueled a lot of excitement, and uh, and and just innovation in our business. There's a lot of things that I just spent a few days over in Boston at Inbound last week and had never been there before, and it was just a great conference. It's really spot on. A lot of great
yeah,
ideas, a lot of good kind of you know tip of the iceberg kind of um, you know,
I love it.
education and things like that on where we're going. So it's really forward thinking conference. And so that was those are things that we're reporting on and implementing in our business that we're really excited about that we can bring back and execute for our clients almost immediately.
Yeah, and now I'm going to go back to the core foundation of what you do at Encore 360 with the market that you've selected. You're able to be fueled by excitement and have this innovation and idea sharing and all these different things that you've picked up from Inbound, which is a great conference, and have this forward thinking mentality, knowing that the foundation that you work within is a market you really can do something with. So
Yes.
there's a really nice piece for you in that you have this ambitious thought process that is brand new to you because you just learned it, but now you can apply it to what you've known for 20 years,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's special because I'm asking for challenges and what makes you excited, and you've literally said, well, I'm working with people that do this every day, and I didn't know what they do, but I took the time to spend learning and innovating with them. And all of a sudden now I have this forward thinking mentality that I can bring back to my business and really apply it to the market that I've known for so many years. It's got to be exciting to say, I'm going to revolutionize the business I've known for so long because I have this new mentality and this new thought process. I think that's a wonderful way and outlook to have on your business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely it's gonna happen. I think we're just right there on the edge, kind of moving the industry forward. Some it's starting to happen already, but from a timing perspective, we're right where we need to be, from an industry conversion perspective.
That's awesome. What a great um, pivot to have happening right now, right? Because the market's about to expand or explode, and you're right there to make it happen. And I agree with you on the content marketing side. It's what allows people to engage with clients for a long period of time. You can
Absolutely.
become a resource, right? Your business or your industry becomes a resource for people wanting to learn. And once they learn, makes it easier for them to make purchasing decisions. So that's solid.
Yeah,
I'm
and
going to
just I
ask,
mean, to add on to that, I mean, I just sat and listened to you know LinkedIn present. I mean, LinkedIn is dying for content.
yeah.
There's so many things on LinkedIn that lack depth. Um, and
Mhm.
so, we're able to, we've doubled, tripled our clients following on LinkedIn because LinkedIn's algorithm wants deep, knowledgeable content, and it's not getting enough of it. So what it does get is just pouring fuel on the fire and really helping those businesses right now. Um, uh, you know, grow that audience and
Yeah.
see more views because it's lacking that. And I think that's a really excellent B2B platform that's going to have a lot of, weight in the coming years here.
Well, what an excellent lesson that you just taught everybody is if you have the opportunity to create really good educational content, make sure it gets on LinkedIn somehow,
Absolutely.
because it's going to drive people to your business. It's going to drive people to want to engage with you, because educated people are better purchasers. There's no other way to put it.
Yes.
That's huge. No, I like that, Jim. Thank you for that. What advice do you have for somebody starting out as an entrepreneur or a new business? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think be patient and
Mhm.
just wake up every morning and go execute. I think that I read something the other day that said that Howard Schultz over at Starbucks got denied by the bank like over 200 times. Um, and if you're gonna take the leap, it's not gonna happen in 3 months. It's
Yeah,
not, it's a, there's maturity curves are real when it comes to business, and you have to be in the long haul and have at least 2 to 3 years of building. Um, you have to
yeah,
have patience. There's another great quote, of the patience to work for somebody for 40 years, but they don't have the patience to build their own business for 3. And so it takes several years to kind of build the foundation of your business so that it can live and move on. And so you just have to be prepared for that. Um, and so we've done really well, but yeah, I mean, we have aggressive growth targets, and it takes time. Um,
yeah.
but we're continuing to grow our second year is going to be a lot better than our first, and hopefully our third year will be better than our second. And so, but you're going to have roadblocks,
Mhm.
falls, things that, hold you back. You just have to keep showing up every day and kind of be committed to the long haul.
I love that. And interesting, you say committed to the long haul. I'm going to tie that back to long-term engagement is what you do for a living. So
Yes,
being committed to the long term, it just follows right in line with what you do, because you're trying to get your clients to commit to work with you for a long time, so their clients or their customers always engage with them for a long term. So it's a really nice bookend to what you do, and I think it makes complete sense. Last question
absolutely.
for you:
Mhm.
if you were to go back in time and have the opportunity to sit down next to an 18-year-old Jim Gilbride,
Hmm.
what would you tell him?
Wow, that's a great question. I wasn't the best student.
That's all right.
And so I tell them just to keep going, just to keep
Well,
going.
you
And
just said it.
so, yeah, just patience and,
Have the patience.
one foot in front of the other and just keep plowing forward.
I love
It's
it.
all going to work out.
Jim, I want to thank you for sharing with us so many great pieces of information and education. Um, the storyline of Encore 360 is profound in that you know what you're doing, you know who you do it for, and now you're looking to expand and do more and more of it. So I appreciate what you're trying to do, and I'm here to support you. And I want to thank you for being on the program today.
Scott, really appreciate having me on, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Absolutely. Everybody, we'll see you next time on the Business Spotlight.